pleasant or you're in trouble. If I didn't bring anything off the ranges, I didn't bring any photographs, any documents, any material. I came off only with my memories. There was nothing to brief on. Industry are very proud of their ability to raise their children. If anything I did was classified, that would mean, for example, that after the teacher brought her daughter in the ground to simply play, then I would have had to have been called in and be debriefed by CIA guards. That would teach the ordinary human guards call me in and start asking questions. How does the teacher take care of her children? Do you think she's doing a good job? Do you think? I mean, and you wouldn't have had to tell her. They're using communication equipment. She would have just said, she would have just figured it right out. Or the next time the generals showed up, she'd have just figured it right out. Well, remember the experience of that CIA guard me on the steps of the Capitol building. The idea of upsetting the teacher, I mean, she was perfectly willing to just jerk the weapon and say, who's giving the orders? I thought we had an agreement, you know? Teacher, Range 4 Harry, some of the other Tall Rhites, as well as the American generals, they had agreed that nothing I did would ever be classified, and Tall Rhites agreement to the letter. They go through a lot of trouble. They are very conscious of their agreements, and they keep them to the letter, and they expect the same for the Tall Rhites, since they live so much longer than we do. If anything I did was classified, they agreed that nothing I did would ever be classified, then you can keep that period, you know. And after all, I don't have any drawings or pictures. I didn't, you know, the log books that were out there, I left out there. And so there were, you know, things, you know, drawings, material, whatever. I observed the aliens to do anything magical. They were very good at building craft that traveled faster than the speed of light. I observed them traveling to another dimension. I never saw, I mean, they're not angels, they're just creatures like us. That I'm very religious, I'm Roman Catholic. Angels are alien. They did not, they did not come to teach me anything. They came for their purposes. They didn't, currently it seems to me, is kind of in the reverse Galileo position. In the time of Galileo, religious leaders required that scientists think inside the box, and scientists want to experiment and think outside the box. Now, however, the situation appears to be reversed. American physicists seem to think that Einstein was always and forever perfect and complete inside the box. In Hall photon theory, my belief is that inside the photon there is a third field, but currently the box says there's two. I consider it. They're insisting on thinking inside the box for religious reasons, pretending it's science, you see. As I describe in the appendix of book 3, that. Currently, it's the religious leaders who are willing to consider guys like Monsignor Balducci, I believe, and so on, who are willing to their intelligent life on other planets. One of the biggest shocks that I had to overcome in 1965 and 66 was once I realized that they were real, they were here, and God life on many, similar to us on a whole bunch of different planets. It was the shock of realizing that so many people had been so wrong for so long, you know? I mean, the gravity field and perfect silence and landing. It was the shock of saying, how could so many American scientists not have discovered that, not have that. And likewise, from a religious point of view, it seems the teacher herself, one time on a different night when I went over there and I was talking to her, and she was teasing me because they have a dry sense of humor, and they liked to outthink me, and they could do so very quickly or very easily. And she said, she was making a long story short. She was pointing up to the stars in the sky, and she said, "You can see all the stars in the sky. Surely you didn't do wrong." At the time, all laughing, surely you didn't think that whatever life was on the earth wouldn't be repeated on the other stars, and I had, and then they were all laughing. Boy, is he silly. And just brought up the stars of the sky, that whatever God did to make life here on earth, he must have done it again, because there are so many stars in the universe, and it's so vast. And they just are willing to think outside the box. Whereas now, when I go and I talk to the scientists and stuff, they all start with this box called Einstein. Einstein himself, but all of his followers seem to claim that he was perfect and complete. And I think that's one of my observations is that box. Said that on other planets, she was referring to other planets she had seen with intelligent life on them, but she didn't elaborate. And the reason is because when they came for their purposes. They did everything there is to know about the universe. They didn't care. If they didn't have anything to say, some nights they might just come and not say anything. The kids might play and they might leave. They was for them to actually come and talk when they were close. Like that night when there were the 3 electrical engineers there. They wanted to see me start up the electrical generators, the power given them for use up on their hangar, because it was built by the Air Force. And they wanted to see how I used it as part of their training program, see? Well, from their point of view, they came and just stood there and watched. And then, eventually Charlie's bright enough to figure out that I should just carry on with my duties, and they would just stand and watch. And then, them to say, "What does this do?" Then they would have said, "What does that do?" But they didn't come and say, "Oh, let me tell you about this star, or let me tell you about that star." One of the things I had to do is put aside the baggage of Hollywood. We all know how Hollywood thinks things supposed to go. There's supposed to be lights in the sky, and they're supposed to be pretty colored and move fast and have clever formations, and then they're supposed to land over there, and somebody's supposed to come out in the 60s for the idea that I would just walk around the corner of one of my weather shack, and there would be a man standing there. The day I did at Range 1, and he wasn't human, and he was standing at me doing play area where the teacher and the children were playing, and you hadn't seen the craft, you hadn't seen the scout craft, you hadn't seen him come, you hadn't seen him leave. There was no reason for him to say anything. He started where the kids and the teacher are playing on that day, and if you feel like standing there and looking at him, well, that's fine with him. If you feel like running away, that's fine with him. And it took me he's not human. He sees it differently, and it took me a while. It took me a long time that they are the way they are that way because they like themselves being that way, And that's different than the way Hollywood would have us think they were. And of course, big us in so many ways. They love their children, they have a dry sense of humor, they love to tell jokes and laugh, and they get bored out of their gourd up in the base. One of the common things to talk about with the young, tall white women was fashions. They got the Air Force. One of the jokes the teacher used to make about the Air Force generals is up on their base in their commissary, there were some clothes that the generals had picked that they could choose from. Of course, American generals are all old men, so naturally they have no fashion sense, right? you know, and she used to laugh about the fashions of the generals. She and the other young, tall white women wanted to do was to go into town and buy pretty clothes. And of course, we don't think of aliens that way, but when in my weather shack, I used J.P. Penney's catalog. We had outdoor plumbing, and so I had several copies of the catalogs for several reasons. And one of the things that the young, tall white women used through they'd be looking at are women's clothes. Sometimes when you'd see them out in the morning, what they'd be wearing were clearly clothes straight out of the saddle. And they were as proud of the new clothes as any Earth woman would be. And the teacher was very proud of her ability to dress up and look like a nurse. And it took me to get because every time you look at a Hollywood movie, aliens are supposed to be weird and different, Yeah, and I really, it took me, it was such a shock to have a dress that she had bought from Sears and proudly show it off and say, "What do you think of my dress?" Yeah.
One knee and one front kick. Yeah, switch. Knee, pull. Mondo, kickboxing, all use this kick. For now, put this leg forward, type it up. We're getting ready for a roundhouse kick. This heel to your butt, point your knee to the straight. Arm out, aim low. It's my favorite kick, this one. And maybe raise your target. Unless this is new for you. If it is, stay low. Turn your big feet. Side kick, right. Hold, watch my feet. Step, step, kick. Hold, hold. Step, step. Bottom foot. Turn it to your target for knee safety. Kicking foot. Flex. Point your toes down. Now, leg, front kick. 2 steps. Whoop. Right back to those karate kicks. Can you lean back? Don't worry about height. Set up roundhouse. Oh. Yeah. Now roundhouse kick. I need you to pivot that foot. Knee points to me. Now. Now keep this kick slow until you build a little bit of strength right here to protect that. Lean back a little ways. Yep. Alright, face. Hold. Yeah? Oh, I threw a new kick at you. You're welcome. One more. Switch time. Run. Alright, y'all remember this side kick. We're coming right back at ya. One more here. Face me. Step, step. It's called an evasive side kick. Flex your foot. Bring your knee into your belly. Hold. Front kick. Step. Kick and hold. Kickboxing track. Boxing, heart rate, and some kicks. Woo. Arms up. Watch. 1, 2, hook, hold. 1, 2, hook. Yeah. So, jab, cross, aim there. Hook. House kick. 1, 2, 3, kick. Yeah. Let that just settle inside just a little bit. Remember, aim low if you need to. It's the same thing. All right, listen. Oh, now right. Here is a good place to be, or 2 knees. With that, breathe a little while. So maybe you try a few here. Maybe you try just a couple here. You want The no air option feels quite faster. Do you feel like you're rushing? That's why. All right, we're gonna pick up where we left off. One, two, three. Woo, there's that breeze, Belinda. One more. Everyone grounded. Don't be a rockhead. Lean back and be a strong fighter. You've got 12 seconds. Plus some. Is up to you. If you want to be more authentic, hold them in. If you're worried about balance, hold them wherever, and you can always come back. 4, 3, 2, 1. You're welcome. Other side. 1, 2, 3. You'll kick, yes. 3. Woo. Next round, 1, 2, 3, roundhouse. Now don't forget, turn heel with knee. Here we go. Knee kick, grounded. Remember your options. Woo! Remember, you have 2 rounds of these. Third. Can you pause at the end of that kick if you're jumping? Here's 4, 3, 2, 1. Meet me here. Whether you know it or not, you just crushed your abs. Woo! Ready to move on? Here we go. Right. What you got? What you gonna do? Are you gonna go for it? I think you should, Krista. Go! Hey, it's up to you. But remember, we're not rockettes. We're fighters. So, lean back. I mean, you're right. Last one! Woo! All right, fix your leggings if you need to. First boxing track. And neutral stance first. Jab, right, left. 2 quick squats. Yes? Now, notice my knees and toes are turning out. You want more? Keep the knees and toes out, but out of jab. Same thing. Jack or squat. Yeah. First boxing track. Feet up your chin. Elbows to wrist. You ready? Stay put. Now more move. We teach her. Hold on. Yeah. 3 more rounds. Woo! Right foot front. Watch first. Or whatever like this is. Step in. So it's kind of diagonal. Yeah? Watch. Turn. Keep your eyes on me. Next round. Up, up, turn, hook. Ha. Now as you hook, lift your back heel. Your back towards the screen. That's me, safety. Belly burn. Oh no. Twist the shoulders, flip the heel, elbows, ribs. Before you're done with this side, we're going to put it all together. Woo! Ears open, I'm going to count you down. You got 8 jab presses. Ready? Here. 8, 7, 6, 5. Uppercut, 2. Up 2. Step turn. Hold. Jog and march. Shake it out. Up the side. What you say? Out. Step in. So notice I'm kind of going back, the diagonal. Yeah? So not straight back. Let's have a little turn. So much forward right here. Alright, I think you know where you're headed. Back arm. Hook. Are you lifting your back heel? Are you throwing your hip? I think you are. I feel it. Lean in. Step back. Yeah. One more. Down the middle. Jab cross. 1, 2, 1, 2. Pull your elbows to your ribs. Lift your back heel, tuck your chin. Twist. Before we're done with this, we're going to put it all together. Just like the other side. Are you ready? I'll count you down. Stay here for 8. Woo! 8, 7, 6, 5. Uppercut, 2. Step turn. Hook. Oh, yes. Woo. This is it. This is it. Hold. Woo! Oh, fire. Right back to the tippy tap. Hold on. Start slow. Pick your option. Alright, let's take this home, y'all. Down the middle. 8 punches, go. Jack or squat. Wherever you're at, can you focus on this? Even if you're jacking, you want to almost bring your heels in here. Try it on. Whoop. Yes. Oh no. Alright, y'all. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Just punch. Down the middle. Come on. Twist through the shoulders. Get them in. Go, 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 go. Hit me harder, hit me harder. Here, reach 1 more inch. Get it, get it. 4, 3, 2, punch it up. Yes. All right, we got a little leg focus. Grab water if you need it. Maybe in a little wide squat position. Dukes up, squat. kicks. Woo. Come down, hold, lean, and walk in a side kick. Kick, tap. Now flex your foot. I want all these kicks to aim low. 45 degrees or an ankle or a shin. Now I want you to think about this. Pull the knee into your belly every time. Yeah? Can you stay here? I'm going to show you where you have it. One side, one front, hold. Keep them low. Now, check out my bottom foot. Turn, turn. If you're on carpet, it's harder. You're going to have to kind of hop. One more, y'all. Hold. Lean. Low to the side. Let's go. Woo! Take a moment to get the feel for it. Flex your foot. How about this leg? Is it turned a little bit? How about your knee? Belly. You might feel that already. Can you stay and watch? Yeah? Let's try it on. Almost there. One more. Hold. Put your right foot forward. Baby scissors. Catch your breath. You're welcome to go lower, but I need you to keep your feet on railroad tracks. Alright, keep going. Watch me. 4, 3, 2, 1. Step, kick, step, drop. 4. Step diagonal. Kick, drop. 4. Yeah, capoeira. My arms are moving to create mass confusion and to keep my balance. So keep yours moving. Yeah? Ooh, not too close to the wall. Last one. Left foot. How we do it? Go get the other side. Let's go, Belinda. How we doing this, Masha? You got 4? You can step this way. Not yet. Alright, let's all go. Right here. 4, 3, 2. Step diagonal. Load and drop. Nice confusion with the arms. Then, lock it in. Last one. Yes. Grab a sip. All right. If you're staying for half, this end of this track is officially half. We're going back to boxing. This foot front. Up 2, up. So, we're going to focus on form to put some things together. This is intended to be hip training. So can you make it feel that way in your own body? All right, 2 jabs, 1 hook. Hold. 2, 1. Now remember what you do with your hip on that hook. And your hook aims right here. Lift up, turn from your hip, and keep your heel lifted. 1 more. straight down the middle, jab cross. Lean forward, twist. See if I can get it a little louder. All right, we're gonna put it all together, starting with those 2 uppercuts. 45 seconds. Are you ready? Keep your ears open. Uppercut 2 front, 2 back, jab cross 4, 2, and then a hook. Up, up. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, hook. Up, up. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, hook. Say it to yourself. Right here. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, bam. Woo. 4, 2. Hang on. We're almost there. Can you give me 2 more? Real 2 more. Woo! Hold. Woo! Yeah, jog if you want, or march around. We're gonna go right back to the tippy top. You ready? Right into it. Other side. Woo! Jukes up. Uppercut 2 front, 2 back. Yep. Now these uppercuts are like doing a bicycle crunch. So think about that as you twist and turn. And then drive your